It's Jane Jennings and Valerie McDougall here from Pink Shoe Power. Tonight we're going to be speaking to you about the 5 essentials for finding more time for what you want. So let's get going. Do you have a goal you want to achieve but just can't find the time for it? I know a lot of us do have great goals, but how many of us get to them? Statistic that I wanted to share with you. 50% of Australian women made a New Year's resolution. These are aged 18 to 59, and this is back in 2011, to diet. How many of those stuck with that goal beyond the first week? Only 10%. So if you set a New Year's resolution and you didn't stick to it, you wouldn't be alone at all. And we're finding lots of people are struggling with this. They want to have those goals. They get caught up in their day-to-day busyness though, and they can't see how they can get outside of what they're doing to get there. So that's what today's coaching session is all about. We want to give you 5 tips that will give you more time to do what you want to or need to, including those New Year's resolutions or other goals. Now these tips are things you can start using today to make a difference in your life. Sounding good? Hope there's lots of nodding out there. So what we want to cover with you today is, number 1, why emulating successful people doesn't work. How to know what to focus your time on for best results. The 5 time thieves and how to handle them. Number 4, the key to achieving more without doing more. And a key time management secret we swear by to give you at least an extra 5 hours a week. And this is without dropping anything important to you. Now this is a great one for you, particularly if you find it hard to stay focused on things, or you find you just have too much to do. Now, Val, I want to pass over to you, but I'd like to be able to share some slides with you when I do.
That's okay. One of the other things, while Jane's trying to fix the slides, is that we'll also introduce you to a 5-step program, which will, help some of you to be able to transform your life this year, so that you do make it to be beyond the 10% who actually achieve their goals. And the big question that we often, and in fact is at the heart of what we've been working on for years, is why do some people have problems with managing their time and others don't? You know how it is that some people seem to be naturally good at being really super organized and they rarely even look stressed, but other people really struggle. Here are some of the reasons why you could be struggling. Maybe you're growing a business, you're trying to do it all, and you don't feel you can pull back because you need the income coming in, but you don't really want to afford to hire anyone to help just yet. Or you could be sabotaging your efforts to be productive without knowing it. A big one is you might not be using systems that work for you. They might work for others, but they just don't feel right for you or easy for you. Or one of the ones that really confounds people when they're growing their business is that they haven't had time to plan because they're too busy reacting. And another reason that many people struggle is because we don't get taught how to manage our time. You're just expected to work it out for yourself, or read books, or attend courses, or listen to sessions like this one and work it out for yourself through trial and error. So how do you know when it's time to say enough to all that struggling? Here's some clues for you. First off, perhaps you regularly feel guilty for not spending the time you want with your business or with your family.
Maybe you get to the end of the day exhausted, but you haven't got anything to show for it.
Or you haven't read a novel in months.
Maybe you find you're saying no to opportunities because you don't have enough time.
Or you spend your days putting out fires and reacting to emails and phone calls.
Or you feel overwhelmed by your inbox and your in-tray and you just don't know where to start.
And another critical one is that you're getting sick a lot. Well, can you relate to any of those? Well, if so, the exciting thing is that we've learned how life can be different for you. It is possible to turn things around so that you're feeling fulfilled and happy with what you're actually achieving every day. Okay, so back to our earlier comments about goals. What tends to stop you from achieving your goals? Not managing your time and energy effectively is the biggie for most people, and it was for us too. And for those of you who we've not met yet, our journey started a number of years back when we realised that we needed to change how we managed ourselves and our time. You know, we were each dealing with different issues, but the reasons were basically the same. We weren't living the life we wanted for ourselves. Jane was burnt out and I'd had a serious fall. But what we didn't know at the time was how we could actually make changes in our lives without dropping back on what was important to us, which was careers or business and our family. So we attended lots of courses, we read books, we even set up a research project internationally to find out the success criteria for work-life balance among women entrepreneurs and businesswomen. And that was eye-opening because out of the many conversations we found it had boiled down to two critical issues. The successful women who were achieving work-life balance and having a successful business said it was basically about mindset and time management. You know, women everywhere struggle with managing so many of the demands on our time. And when we looked into this, we really got excited about the possibility of helping other women who were struggling as well. So we set up a resource site with the best tools and resources that we could find to help us all to improve our time. But we felt there was still something missing. How do we really know what will actually work for us, for each of us? And that was our big aha moment. You know, we're all different with our own habits, our own patterns, behaviours and experiences. So it just doesn't make sense that the same tools and strategies would work for everyone. You need to figure out the right ones for you. And it was then that we went on to develop a very powerful tool that allows you to understand your particular habits, your behaviours, your strengths and challenges around how you manage your time, and matches you with the right strategies and tools suited to what we call your time management style. And Jane will tell you a little bit about how that's helped change other people's lives, and she'll give you the first tip.
Yeah, it's been very exciting for us because we've seen firsthand the differences we've made to the lives of other women, but for us personally it's meant we've got much smarter about how we use our time. Now we have more time to spend with family and friends, and our business is going from strength to strength, so it's been really fantastic. But it's also been wonderful to see the changes in other women. One client of ours said she felt like she was always running down rabbit holes and getting very little done each day. And maybe some of you can relate to that. She was feeling constantly busy and exhausted. Now she's loving the feeling of being in control of herself and her time. And that's transformed her because it was the feeling of being out of control that was wearing her down. Now, other clients have found space in their lives for art, university study, exercise. In each case, it was something they dreamed of having more time for, but couldn't see a way of fitting it into their busy schedules. And it's possible for you too. So I want you to listen up really carefully to these 5 tips. Now, the first one is don't try to be like successful people because it doesn't work. Now, I'm finding I'm going to have to go back to this view to be able to get these slides to come up for you. So apologies for the messy way of doing this, but at least that way you get to see the slides. Now, it's important to have heroes you admire and learn from, but the thing here is it's simply imitating or copying them doesn't mean you can follow in their footsteps and achieve the same result, because there's every chance that what works for them won't work for you due to your own conditioning and experiences. We all have our own drivers and habits that influence our behaviour and what will work for us and not. And this is the whole basis for our work with Pink Shoe Powered Time Management Styles. So you might not be able to get exactly the same result as your heroes, but you can certainly use the knowledge of your habits and your drivers to help you develop the qualities about them that you really admire. So I've got an exercise for you. Think about some heroes of yours. What are the qualities about them that you admire and you'd like to have for yourself? Make a note of those. And what this is basically is in effect a description of the ideal you. Now the thing is, it's nice to have that list, but you want to be able to develop those qualities in yourself so it becomes reality. So you need to set some actions around how you want to build those qualities. Now this can be challenging or easy depending upon how much of a stretch they are for you, how different they are to where you are right now. What's going to make a difference for you is understanding your own drivers and habits so you know what will help you and what's going to stop you. I'll give you an example. a woman we know, let's call her Shona. She has a hero she admires who's got great business sense, and she'd like to increase that aspect in herself. Looking at her drivers, a big one for her is helping others, and she habitually puts other people's needs before her own. For her to have the chance to improve her business sense, she needs to set clear boundaries around her own time and get comfortable about making time to grow her business knowledge, because otherwise she's going to find her time disappears and she has no time to help her do this. Now, knowing her habits and drivers, that's the key here. By knowing those, she is really aware of what can stop her. So then she's able to take some action to guard against that happening. So what we want you to do is think about the impact of your own drivers and habits and how you manage your time. And you can do the same thing around money and relationships or any other aspects of your life, but we want you to master time, because that will undermine other areas of your life and you won't have a chance to get those qualities you aspire to if you can't get your time in order. So what we suggest you do is write down what you're good at and what you struggle with when it comes to managing your time. Identify then what you think are your key strengths. Maybe you're great at juggling lots of different projects or creating lists. These strengths are what you find easy to do, so you want to be conscious of what they are, because often we take those things for granted. So zero in on what they are, because they're going to help you be as productive as possible with your time. You want to play to those strengths. Then identify your biggest challenges, what you really struggle with. And we find women in particular tend to find it much easier to identify their challenges than their strengths. Now, maybe one of your challenges is around saying no, or you find it hard to prioritize where to put your attention first. Maybe you get distracted by email calls or other people. You need to identify what they are, then decide what actions you can take to minimize those challenges so they don't waste your time, because otherwise they'll continue to eat away at your time and they'll wipe out any benefit the strengths offer you. So just give yourself one or two actions. You've got to make it easy for yourself as well. Now, if you want to save some time around working out your strengths and challenges, we've got our Pink Shoe Power profiler that helps you identify what those are if you haven't used that before. And then in the 7 Steps program we'll talk to you about later, we'll walk you through how to get your strengths and challenges working for you so it becomes second nature. Now, Val, can you tell us about tip 2, please?
Certainly, Jane. Tip 2 is about knowing what to focus your time on for the best results. This is a fantastic one because, as you know, we've only got 24 hours in a day, and of those, only about 14 are really productive. So tip 2 will help you decide what to focus your time on for best results. So here's a question for you. Do you know what you're actually spending your time on currently? At the end of each day, have you ever felt like you've been flat out all day, but you wonder what you've actually got to show for it? Well, a crucial first step is for you to get clear about how you're spending your time. So each day, track how you spend your time in, say, 30-minute intervals. Make it easy, have a little calendar, and we suggest you create some categories for yourself, such as admin or phone calls and emails, perhaps product development, housework, exercise time, me time, whatever's relevant for you. Have a little letter, just bung those in your calendar, and at the end of the week, add all the categories and review where your time has gone. What was the productive time? What wasn't? And did you end up spending far more hours on certain tasks than you expected or wanted? We get such amazing results from this with people. They really, because most of us really feel busy but don't know what we spend our time on. But now comes the really cool bit. Pull out your goals list, personal or business, and have a look at the time you spent that week and count up how much time you actually spent working towards those goals. And this is a time when you've got to be very honest with yourself and ask if you're spending enough time on each of them so that they're moving forward. You have to assess what will really make a difference to your life, and that's the time when you have to choose to let some things go. So we have another exercise where we actually help you work out how to allocate your time into what we call areas of focus, which are directly aligned with your goals, and then you translate that into your daily action list, or your to-do list if you like. But we'll cover that in the 7-step program. Plus we'll give you a great tool to easily track how you're spending time. But it's really just important to know, once you start mastering and looking at where you've spent your time, then you know where you're going wrong.
Next tip, now these are the big 5 time thieves. We want to go through each of them in turn. Now the biggest time thief is emails, and interesting to see that 71% of you, 57% of you regularly check your emails, and 29% once or twice a day. Now, we love emails because they're great for communicating with people, but what we find is that lots of people are at the mercy of them, and they're not managing them as they should be. In fact, they're being managed by the emails. People are jumping to attention when they hear that ping of an incoming email coming in, and they spend their time responding to emails rather than dealing with their important things for that day. And there's another trap for those working from home. You can find you regularly check them to feel more connected with others, or if you get bored with a task and looking for a distraction. Now, we recognize some businesses need to be responding to emails on a regular basis, but we also think there's need for putting some boundaries around that as well. So we have a simple rule for managing emails that we want to share with you, and you can use this system for paper as well as email, and it's what we call the 2-minute rule. It means basically if you can do it in less than 2 minutes, so you're looking at your emails, ask yourself, can you do it in less than 2 minutes? If you can and want to, do it then. If that's a quick email response or to send a text, or you need to file it, or you put it into an email folder on your system, an action folder for, it's a bit like your email in tray for you to attend to that day, or delete it if you don't need to keep it in your in tray. If you can't do it in less than 2 minutes, you need to decide what's the next step you want to take with it. Can you delegate it, send it on to someone else to take action, or do you need to put it into your system for you to take action? And how you do that, you can divide it up and putting it into different places. If it's a fixed date or time, an event that you need to take action on, or an appointment you need to do something on, put it in your calendar right then and there. If it's reading material, something you want to catch up on, put it in a reading folder. If it's something that you need to take action on, taking that longer than 2 minutes, but you want to do it today, put it in your actions folder for the day. If it's something you need to remember at some time later on in the month or another month, put it into what we call a fat calendar. This is where we print it out and put it into a fat calendar. This is where we keep lots of miscellaneous and important information that you need to keep track of. Now, if you don't know about our fat calendars, we've had blog articles about them. Let us know, and we'll send you the details about that. But we don't really want to take the time to talk more about it now. The other option is to put it into a someday maybe file. Now, this is the things that you don't want to lose sight of, but it's not part of your priorities right now. Create a someday maybe file in your emails. Now, in our 7-step course, we're going to tell you about how to integrate this 2-minute rule for emails and all incoming paper. So it becomes second nature to you. It becomes habitual, so that's what you do every morning. Okay, now the second time thief is around phone calls. We just want to give you a quick tip about how you can save time with your calls each day. And that's to list out the calls you need to make and then batch them together to do at certain times of the day. And then in between those times, if you have calls coming in, let them go to voicemail unless you're waiting for something urgent, and then handle the calls at the time you've set aside. The beauty of this is it frees you time up to focus on tasks without interruptions, because otherwise if you've got calls spread throughout the day, you're breaking up your time and you're having less and less focus time. Val, can I hand over to you to have a chat about the next couple of time thieves, please?
Well, speaking of interruptions, distractions and interruptions are our third time thief. So firstly, a couple of quick definitions. Interruptions are when people either in person or by phone, stop your actions. And distractions are when you mentally wander off and think of something else that you think you just need to do now. Two time management styles, juggling Julie and last minute Lucy, can easily be influenced by distractions and interruptions, because when they get bored with a task, they often try to find an excuse for a change of pace. So a key way of minimising the impact of these is to start really being aware of when you're being interrupted or distracted. With awareness comes the ability to set up your way of dealing with them. For instance, like many of you, Jane and I work from home offices. We have actual Olympic gold medals in finding ways to distract ourselves. So we set up our own set of rules. Now, you have a different rule for a different person. But for me, for example, when I used to find it that when I was finding things that were going hard, I'd just take a moment to, say, go and put the washing on or prepare something for dinner. But I knew it wasn't productive. So my rule is that each night I work out my working hours for the next day along with my calendar, and I don't allow myself any sort of housework or non-work work in those actual working hours. It's okay to run the machine beforehand or during the lunch break, but it's that discipline that keeps you productive. Now, kids and co-workers are big causes of interruptions, so you have to be firm with each of these categories about your signal that you don't want to be interrupted. Maybe you close your door, put up a busy sign, but especially with children, let them know when you will be able to spend time with them and always stick to it. It actually helps them to learn self-discipline, and all the studies show that it's more important, self-discipline is more important than a high IQ for success, in all sorts of areas of life and in relationships. Now, of course, there are exceptions, and there's, differences with ages and things like that, but the idea is to communicate with the important people around you about interruptions and have the rules around it. And do you know that every time your focus is taken elsewhere, it takes up to 15 minutes to return to your work? So obviously minimising those distractions and interruptions is vital. Number 4 is BSOs. We love these, bright, shiny objects, because they offer an opportunity, for new challenges or projects. But juggling Julies, like Jane and I, can really be derailed from what's important. We're full of good ideas, but you've got to consider what's your priorities. You've got to get clear about your priorities and be guided by those when you see a low-flying BSO coming your way. You've got to say to yourself, will this idea help achieve your goals or take you away from them? Now, if it's a good idea, file it away if it's not key for you now. Those someday maybe files that we were talking about, they're very helpful because you've actually captured the information, but you don't have to deal with it right there and then. And the next point is about procrastination. Procrastination is a huge time thief for some people, especially last-minute Lucy's. They can struggle with this because it is the perfect delaying tactic until Lucy feels like there's enough time pressure, which is what she feels she needs to motivate her to get started on something. Now, there are times actually when procrastination works in your favour, but as a regular habit, it's a bad one. Fear of success or fear of failure are other reasons why people procrastinate. The trick here is to get clear about why you're actually procrastinating. Look into it, think about it. What's made it work for you in the past? Why are you putting yourself under pressure like that from it? So then you've got to look at the cost for you from delaying and putting the pressure on you. It could be that you start to become unreliable, or you're not producing your best work maybe. And one of the worst things is that it can affect your health through stress. So a simple trick here is that when you've got a project or task to do, set an artificial deadline. What we mean by this is, set your deadline earlier than it needs to be. It's like when you set your watch to be fast. Even though you know it's fast, it really does help. And another important thing to do is to be aware of when you procrastinate. And that gets back to that awareness. If you feel yourself doing it, commit to taking action. And that's the way you can help minimise it. Okay, Jane. Tell us about how we can have some keys to achieving more, please.
Okay, our next tip is exactly that, key to achieving more. when you need to get more, the natural reaction is to try to add more to your schedule, right? Even if it means working longer. Now, this can work fine in the short term, say when you need to get a project done or fit in something that you hadn't planned for that day. But as a way of achieving more and being more productive, it doesn't work. Because unfortunately, you're setting yourself up to fail. And that's simply because there is little room in your life to do anything more than you're already doing. If you try to reach a new goal by taking on more things to do, your chance of success is 15% or less, which is pretty scary. So at the time you tell yourself it's possible because you want to do things differently, but the reality of your life is it's probably very busy and full, right? All right, I've got a picture for you, if the system is kind enough to put it up for me. And that's these two lovely yellow buckets. The one on the left is your current life, where you are with your habits and your comfort zone. Now your habits, like the water filling this bucket, are invisible to you. Now imagine the buckets are full of water. Thanks, please. Notice it's full to the brim, just like your life right now, leaving you no room to add anything else. Now the bucket on the right is what happens to your goals or your New Year's resolutions or great intentions. Now imagine this is a bucket with water flowing over it. This bucket is already full, and as soon as you add more in there, the new actions and intentions, they're going to flood over and spill over everything, just making a big mess. So it becomes pretty clear it's too hard to fit in everything, so you don't get far with your goals and intentions. And the problem is when you do that, people find that they beat themselves up and wonder if there's something wrong with you or if what you wanted is ever even possible for you. You have what it takes, but it's not about doing more each day. It's about doing things differently and in a way that's tailored to your personalities and drivers, those habits and drivers we were talking about earlier. That's the key here. This is how you make room in your full bucket. You need to replace some of the contents, your old habits, with new actions that are going to serve you better. Now in our 7-step program, we're going to show you how to achieve this, how to choose the right actions to replace some of your old habits. So you can achieve more each week without adding more to your busy schedule, without having to try and fit more in. So by the end of the program, you will have cemented the tips we've given you today. You'll have achieved at least one goal that's important to you in business or personally, but you've struggled to find time for, and you'll be enjoying at least an extra 5 hours a week. It's personal coaching at your own pace. That's what we're coming at with the 7 Steps program. And we just want to take a few minutes and tell you more about the program if you don't mind. And then we want to let you know about our 5th tip, which is about how to gain an extra 5 hours a week. So don't go away. All right, now let's talk briefly about the 5 Steps program. I want to bring up the slide for you here so you can see what this is all about in terms of what's in store for you. Now, the idea behind the 7 Steps program is we cover a lot, but we do it in a very gentle way. So at the end of the 7 Steps program, our picture for you is that you'll be mastering an absolute must-do technique for goal achievement that you can keep using again and again. It's all about feeling fantastic about the way you're working with your strengths of your time management style. This is going to make you feel in control of your time, which is fantastic. You can expect to be overcoming your distractions, interruptions, and procrastination, those things that are currently stealing your time away. You're going to have a handbag of tips and techniques for working or living with other people's time management styles. You're going to be able to redesign your work week and your personal week for success. And you're going to be putting in place those critical habits to keep you on track from day 101, because we're going to run this 7-step program over 100 days, keeping it set to a short space of time so that you can get the maximum out of it in a short space of time. Now, Val, can you take us through exactly what's covered in the 100-day challenge?
Thanks, Jane. Well, if you look at what we're going to cover, just say in the first month, you'll see that we really cover a lot, but we step you through it so that it becomes part of your day. Now, really, what this month's focus is on is you and getting clarity about what you want to achieve. You know, you can waste an awful lot of time if you don't get it right. So that first month's all about gaining clarity and space in your life.
In terms of month 2, it's all about tapping into your strengths and moving towards your goal. At this point, you're powering forward and it's all go. This is when you start to get to realize what your time management strengths are and what they can mean for you and how to use them. This gets really into the power side of things, because we all have these strengths, but it's the very few of us who get to know what they are and how to actually use them. All right, and then when we get to month 3, Val?
Month number 3. Yeah, so this last month, this 100 days, the challenge, the last month's all about starting to live the dream and to stay in the flow. And this is the time to be very excited, because at that stage you'll have extra time in your week for what's important to you. And at that point, if you follow the steps, you'll be finding it so much easier to focus on what you want to do. That's both in your work time and your personal time, and to get on with the life that you've been really wanting to really live. So it's a quick program, 100 days.
And we've also got some great goodies for you when you're in the program. You're going to get access to the Pink Shoe Power Profiler if you haven't already, to find out what your time management style is. And when you do that, you're going to receive a 3-page summary report about your time management style and the strengths and challenges of your style and the key strategies for you to use with your style.
And if you don't have a copy of our book, Pink Shoe Power, What Your Time Management Style Means for Your Success in Business and Life, which will help you get the most out of your time, style, and this program, you'll have access to a very special 7-step program rate. You'll also get access to a very powerful My Time Tracker tool, and that's the essential tool for really getting control of your time.
Plus, you're going to receive resources to help you understand the material, including our checklist of important resources to draw from. And you can keep using that way beyond the 100-day program. And last but not least is a really important thing. You're going to receive our support at each step of the way, because we're there when you need us to answer your questions and to offer advice. Because at the end of the 7 steps, we want you to have achieved at least one important goal and to be starting to live your dream with that extra time you've gained. So it's the pressure is on us to make sure you're able to do that. So that's why we want to make sure we're there to help you. Okay, you're thinking, well, it sounds great, but how much time do I need to spend, and can I afford it? Well, we know you're busy, so we have organized it so that we would send you short weekly emails which you can follow at your own pace. Now, you're looking at about 15 minutes of your time a day over that 100-day time frame. So it's not a lot of time for what you're about to see as a change through that process. So already in today's online coaching session, we've given you some tips to make a difference. If you're serious about reaching your goals and getting the most out of your time, so you can have more income, a more successful business, better relationships, maybe it's to be more healthy and feel better about yourself, then you need to come back to how you're using your time effectively. So are you ready to enjoy life and achieve your goals? We've made the course as affordable as possible. We know that we could charge $600 for this because many of our competitors do. But the thing is, we want to make this a no-brainer for you as a member of our community, so that it's only going to cost you a total of $139 or $1.54 a day, which is tiny. But we're keeping a tight cap on numbers because we want to give participants as much support as possible, so we want to make sure that we don't spread ourselves too thinly. This isn't a program you sign up to and are left to your own devices. We're going to be there to help you at every step of the way.
So if you want to be one of the lucky ones to get your hands on this program and the special offer that Jane will explain in a few minutes, we suggest you take action now. because the strategies that you'll learn have already been proven to help our clients. We've actually been very humbled by their feedback, and we would like you to be the next one on that list. So with our help, only $1.54 a day, you can achieve at least one of your important goals and be saving your time each week for what's important to you. Better still, you'll be creating great time habits, and they will last for the whole of your life, and it's in a way that'll suit you. So how can you access the program? Well, you can take a look at what the program covers today. And if you sign up and you're not completely blown away by it, well, we'll refund your payment, so you've got nothing to lose. So what's to lose by not taking a closer look? Here's your chance to get in control of your time and feel fantastic, because you'll be achieving what you want to do with your time. You'll be really getting things under control so that your business will grow and your family situation will be feeling better. So take out your credit cards, because we've got two different payment options. The first one, the best value one, is the pay up front, a total of $139, and when you do, you'll receive access to the profiler with its insight into your time management style for free. So you save $66.99. But if cash flow is an issue for you, we've got a special payment plan where you pay $84 first up, and then 2 easy monthly payments of $47. That way you still save $27.
Now don't think too long and hard about this, because we've got a very special incentive for those first 5 to register. You're going to receive 30-minute personal coaching, and that's going to make sure you get the most out of the program. This is normally $97 worth, so it's hugely valuable, because in that 30 minutes we're going to zero in with you on the key issues you have with your time and help you identify what you need to focus on to get the most out of the program. Now, some people are interested in this program and want to work one-on-one with us, and we are more than happy to set this up. Now, that's a greater investment, but email us and we'll have a chat to you about that. Okay, now we promised you that 5th tip, and I want to take you through to that. And that's our tip about giving you that extra time. It's a strategy we learnt from time management expert Peter Bregman. And what it is hitting the pause button regularly each day. Now you're thinking, what does that mean? Well, every hour you give yourself just 1 or 2 minutes to pause, take a deep breath and ask yourself 2 really important questions. Am I doing what I most need to be doing right now? Am I being who I most want to be right now? I'll repeat those for you. Am I doing what I most need to be doing right now? Am I being who I most want to be right now? They are very powerful questions. Then look at your calendar and your action list for that day and deliberately recommit to how you are going to use your next hour. Why does it work so well? Well, it comes back to what you want to focus your life on, your day on, your time on. We work with so many people who are just flat out with their daily life that they don't take time to take stock and assess if their current way is the only way to do things, and whether what they're focusing on is actually helping them achieve their goals or wasting their time. They get caught up in that busy trap. So this little very powerful way of doing things makes you get clear about what your priorities are. It helps you avoid over-perfecting things, and it's very simple but very powerful, so you've got to give it a try. Now this wraps up our 5 tips for you. We hope you've got lots of value out of them. I know there was a lot in there, so let us know if you want us to go back over any of the tips and we can send you the information. Now if you apply each of these tips, particularly this last one, you're going to find you have at least an extra 5 hours a week to spend on what you want, because basically your productivity is going to increase.
And if you've got any questions about the 7-step program, our 100-day challenge for you, please feel free to email us. You know, Jane and I want you to be comfortable with us and with our material. So don't forget, it's a risk-free decision for you, and it's only $1.54 a day. We've got so many wonderful stories how this has been transformational for others, so we'd just like you to be part of that. By the way, if you've already bought access to our profiler and received the personalised profiler report, you'll already know how powerful it is. We've got a super bonus for you in that case. Just let us know about it when you register. Again, we're all about communication, so if you've got any questions about the program or any of the tips that we've covered, please feel free to email us at contactus@pinkshoepower.com. You'll see it right there, or go to this page for some more information, pinkshoepower.com/7-step-program. Now here's our last question for you before we open it up for you to ask questions. Will your life look any different in 100 days from now? Well, if you keep taking the same actions, you keep getting the same results. So if you do want to change but haven't had the time to make it happen, talk to us. We look forward to it and hope you enjoyed these tips. So now if you've got any questions, pop them in that little I am box and we'll be very, very happy to answer them. We're sorry that we did go over time, but we just wanted to thank you very much for being part of this, and as we said, feel free to contact us at pinkshoepower.com, nice and easy one. And don't be shy about the questions if you've got any last minute ones.
Or if after listening to this things come up for you, you have those 3 o'clock in the morning moments when you think, oh, I wish I'd asked that. Feel free to send us an email. We love hearing from people and love to chat with you and give you any support we can do. But we certainly hope that you'll be joining us in the 7-step program real soon.
Jane, there's one question there about having masses of paperwork and not, knowing where to start about it. Actually, one of our biggest things is to do with systems. We really have helped people set up both their physical systems and the systems on their computers or just on how they do things with their day. And it's very basic sometimes, but it has to suit the way you work. If you're a creative person, it has to work with your creativity. Or if you happen to be somebody who's neat and organised, well, it has to be simple so that it works with that too. And we're always happy to share articles we've written about it. So if you want more on that one, give us a quick email and we'll send you back some information that we've already got on a written form, which will be easy to send to you. It's just getting that balance between it all right, and it can be done. Jane, I don't think there are any more questions, so I'd like to say thank you very much to everybody. Do you want to wrap up, Jane?
Yes, thanks everyone for listening. It was great to spend this 45 minutes with you tonight. So look forward to talking to you again soon.
So Valerie McDougall and Jane Jennings of Pink Shoe Power. Thanks for listening to the 5 Essentials for finding more time for what you want. Please stay in touch and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.